Hey y'all, it's Robert, and in today's video, I'm making another character cake, and this time I'll be showing you how to make a minion. I really love making different character cakes, but these can be the most challenging because they're always very detailed, and then there's a clear point of reference that I'm going for, so if I don't do it just right, it'll look like I did a very bad job, and we really don't want that. So to start this cake, I'm using 6-inch vanilla cake layers that I'm torting and leveling. I also have a 6-inch dome cake that I'm torting, and this will be the very top layer of the cake. Once all these cakes are level and torted, I'm adding plain simple syrup to each one. When stacking this cake, I'm not placing it directly into the middle of the cake board because I need to make sure that I'll have room for the legs that I'll be adding later. Because of the height of this cake, I'm making this a double barrel cake. So I'm cutting 3 dowels the same exact size and then placing those in the cake and then adding a cake board on the very top. And because I'll be making Bob look like he's sitting down, I'll be adding a little bit of cake to the front for the legs. Now I'm adding a crumb coat just to make sure that there'll be no crumbs in the final coat that I'm adding later. For the final coat, I'm using chocolate ganache like always, and I'm making this with a 3-to-1 ratio of chocolate to cream. After the ganache has cooled down a little bit, I can now add it to the cake. And then I'm smoothing this out with both a cake comb and an acetate sheet because of the curves on the top and bottom of the cake. As the chocolate ganache is setting, I'm rolling out modeling chocolate because I'll be completely covering this cake with that. And then I have to steam the cake just a little bit because I want to make sure that the modeling chocolate sticks to the cake. So this is where the harder part comes in because I now have to start adding all the defining features that will make this cake actually look like a minion. So I'm going to start off by actually working on the overalls, and I'm using modeling tools to kind of define this out. Then I'm going to move on to the mouth, and then I'm just going to mark the eyes with circle cutters, but I'll be adding more modeling chocolate for these later. To add more detail, I'm adding a little pocket to the very front, and then I really want this cake to look like he's sitting down, so I'm adding more modeling chocolate right at the front to make it look like there's folds in the overalls. And I don't want the bottom of the shoes to be completely flat, so I'm adding a heel and treads to it. To make the arms, I'm rolling modeling chocolate out into a log, then I just have to cut that in half and then shape and blend the arms into the cake. To make the goggles, I'm rolling out modeling chocolate and then using circle cutters to make them. And then once I add it to the cake, I have to add more modeling chocolate around these to make sure that everything blends in. So this is all the modeling I can do at this point, so I can now start adding color to the cake. This is edible paint that I'm using, and I'm adding a diluter to it so I can get it to a consistency that is easy to paint with. I'm painting Bob yellow first, and then I'm adding the other colors. And I'm being really careful with painting because I want to make sure that there will be clean lines between all the colors. To mark the pupils, I'm using different size piping tips, and this is going to help me when I color in the eyes later. Now I have to add the arm straps to the overalls. So I'm cutting out a strip of modeling chocolate, and then I'm going to paint these first before I add them to the cake, because I don't want any of this blue to smear onto the yellow. To add more detail to the overalls, I'm using a stitching wheel and I'm carefully adding this detail to the cake. Now I can start adding more of the defining features to this cake. So I'm using white modeling chocolate to make the teeth, and then because the strap to the goggles is just black, I'm going to use fondant to do this. So this is where I had a mess up because the goggles on the Minion are silver and I wanted the goggles on this cake to have a metallic sheen to it. So I tried to use luster dust to do this, and I just really did not like the way this looked when I was painting it on. So I just decided to go back and paint over that with a gray color. This is a detail that I did not notice before with these characters, but a Minion doesn't have the same color eyes. Like, one is like an orangish color and the other is green. So I made sure I did this for the cake, and I wanted to define and detail these a little bit more. So I'm going to use black paint to do this. So this cake is almost done, and the last things to do are add the buttons and the hands. And for the buttons, I do have a mold and I'm using black fondant to make these. And then for the hands, I have black modeling chocolate and I'm going to define these using modeling tools. And funny enough, the hardest thing about making the hands, we're trying to make them look identical. And I do think I got them close enough. So here is the Minion cake complete. So this is hands down one of my new favorite cakes. It looks so identical to the character and it really looks like a toy in person. Like, you really couldn't even tell it's a cake. So I'll be sure to make more character cakes soon. And if there's a specific one that you want to see, make sure that you leave it in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next video. I'm using 6-inch vanilla. Oops, I did it again. Oh, not Brittany. Okay, so I can get it to a consistency. All right. Consistency. Ooh, all right. So I can get it to a good consistency. Oh my God. All right. So I can get it to a consistency.